Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of After the Three Count, recorded from the TexTv studios here at the OC in Forney, Texas. I am half of your podcast tag team, Ashley, and I've got my partner in crime here, per usual, sitting across from me, Chase. How are you today, sir?
I am great. How are you?
I'm good. Any more parking violations?
Oh, dude. We had probably the worst one I've ever seen. I don't know if you saw it. I posted
think
it
I did.
a couple of days ago. And dude, she's such a nice lady at the gym too. And like I knew exactly whose car it was when I pulled up, but I was like, I can't just let that slide.
Yeah.
And she was not only over the line, which is violation number one,
Mm-hmm.
but she was so far pulled out from the back of the space that nobody could park in front of her.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I thought like maybe it was somebody running inside real quick. Like maybe they went to pull off, realized they didn't have their phone, ran back inside. Nope. Walked in and she's in there full blown mid workout and she was there for another 30, 45 minutes.
Did you tell
So,
her?
No. Of course
Okay,
not.
so
No, I'm not that brave.
hear me out. Hear me out. So you're a trainer there, right?
Uh-huh.
I feel like this could be really funny. It's hit or miss. You know, you got to be bold for this.
Mm-hmm.
But make little cards, little business cards,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and just go like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then it says parking violation by way of Chase.
Mhm.
Move
A
your
buddy of
car.
mine sent dude, I get people send me parking spot videos or pictures of like just jacked up parking all the time now. And I had a buddy send me this thing. It was it's like a coloring book and it's like since you have a hard time staying within the lines and you flip it over and it's a car in a parking, like perfectly parked in a parking spot, and it's a coloring book.
That's beautiful. I
Yep.
love that so much.
Perfect.
I haven't had experienced any parking violations, so I don't go anywhere. I am at home 90% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be sure next time if I see a really bad one, be like, I'm gonna get under his skin right
Oh,
now.
dude,
I'm
absolutely.
gonna send it
Yep,
to you.
absolutely. Just makes my skin crawl, dude.
Oh my gosh! So I was looking at my calendar of events
Mhm.
because I'm at that age where I gotta remind myself, what am I doing next week?
Oh,
And
you
next
me
week
both.
is so hectic.
It is.
We have live at Garland's Trunker Hunt, the
Mhm.
Easter event. That's on the 16th from 6 to 8.
Yep.
You've got you and
Mhm.
Soda Pop coming to the OC
Mhm.
for a meet and greet.
Yeah, so they're going to be doing some type of similar to what they're doing in Garland,
Mhm.
here in Forney at the OC for all the elementary school kids. So
Okay.
I think Soda and I are scheduled to be here from like 1:30 to 3:30, and then
Yeah.
Christy's going to come later that afternoon from
Okay.
like 5:30 to 6:30 or so.
Very nice.
But yeah, we're just going to hand out some free TSW swag and see if we can reach out to the community a little bit more.
And I believe there's going to be swag at the Trunk and Hunt too
Mhm.
that Wednesday.
Mhm.
So honestly, like, you need to bring your kids, need to
Mhm.
bring your family. You're gonna have a good time.
Mhm.
And then not only do we have those two things, we have TSW's Tough on the 19th.
Mhm.
Same day as WrestleMania Night 1.
Mhm.
Come here instead of you can record. You can record WrestleMania, watch it when you get home.
Yep.
Like, just come here live.
Yep. So
get your adrenaline going.
So one of my personal training clients, his name's Braden, and he's a senior in high school this year, and he's actually in like the AV class, and
Mhm.
so they have a so the night of the 17th they have a film award ceremony, like almost like a film festival going on, and they're
Mhm.
going to show like they made short movies, and he is a huge wrestling fan.
Oh.
And that's actually how we even got connected. He's been coming to my shows when, back when it was CWF, he would come to the Christian organization.
Mhm.
And so I've known him and his family forever. And I asked him if he was going to come on the 19th, and he told me no. And I was like, dude, what do you mean no? And he was like, it's WrestleMania Night 1. And I was like, dude, it's on Peacock. You can watch that when you
can
get
watch it.
home. But nope, he's the type, like, if he's not watching it live, he's not going to watch it at all.
Like, okay, I can understand
Mhm.
only because we're in that period where there's so much going on social media. Like, they
Yeah.
update it right as it happens. Normally you wouldn't have to deal with that,
Mhm.
but if you're going to record something, you can't be on your phone
You
at
can't,
all
no.
for that entire night, or else it's going to get ruined. Me
Mhm.
personally, I don't really care if something gets ruined. I'm still going to watch it anyway because I don't know what happens
Yeah.
to get from point A to point B. I still want to
Exactly.
see it.
Yeah.
But you have that, and I won't be here for the 17th for that because I'm actually going to be at UNT Dallas for King of Sports.
Oh, that's
they're
awesome.
having-
So
Mhm.
yeah, I heard you say that you had the show Thursday. So is that who it's for, King of Sports?
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, they're running a special on Thursday, and they're It's supposed to be me and this other girl who's also an alumni there. We're supposed to wrestle. Haven't heard from her though. So
Okay.
that's up in the air on
Uh-huh.
whether that. But in between all of that, you also have to try and make any family obligations you have for
Mhm.
Easter.
Yep, and I do have those too. And like I just got that text from my mom today. Like, hey, don't forget about Easter, 1 o'clock on Sunday. And so yeah, I mean we have Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then I'll do the Easter thing Sunday. And then the following Saturday, I'm in Spring Hill, Louisiana.
Hmm.
It's about, I don't know, I think about maybe 2.5, 3 hours from here. Not too bad at all. But then Sunday, I had to be in San Antonio for Dog Pound.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah,
Oh
so
wow.
I'll go because I was thinking about like just crashing in Louisiana.
Yeah.
But dude, it's 8 hours to San Antonio the next day, and I mean it's nothing that we haven't done before, right? But
Are you gonna be riding solo?
yes.
Ugh.
So I would rather just go ahead and because even the way it routed me, I'd have to come back through this way anyways.
Hmm.
So I'd rather go ahead and just come home Saturday after the show and just get a couple of hours of sleep at home, and
Right.
then have cut the trip the next day in half.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, we'll turn around and I'll go down to San Antonio Sunday, and then bright and early Monday morning we'll be right back at work.
I love when the stars just fall in perfect alignment to have like a beautiful loop of hitting shows. If you have that perfect loop for Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday
Mm-hmm.
early afternoon show, and it's on the way home, it's like, oh, that is beautiful. But then rarely happens.
Yeah,
That is like trying to
exactly.
find a 4-leaf clover. It's
Yep.
not gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you and your family celebrate Easter?
We have always gone to my grandparents' house. They live in Grand Saline. And I mean, gosh, I have so many cousins, dude. Like
Big. Okay, so you got a big family.
yeah, we do. We have a big family. So we've always just gotten together. My grandma used to always play this game. So she had a like a chicken piggy bank. It looks like a rooster.
Okay.
And so throughout the year, her and my grandfather, any kind of loose change or anything they would throw it in the chicken. So then all the grandkids would try to guess how much money is in this chicken. And we would write it on a slip of paper and put it into a hat. And so she would read them out, one at a time, what everybody guessed. And whoever was the closest to the actual amount without going over won.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Yep. And dude, I won 4 years in a row.
Really?
Nobody else even won twice.
Oh,
so I don't know
wow.
if I have like a magic scale or something in my
I mean, I guess
hand.
you're just ready. You're like, I need this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's about $30 in here.
Yep. Four-time chicken winner for Easter, no big deal. But now, I aged out at 18. You can't play anymore. So at 18, you can't play anymore. But now I have all, the younger cousins coming up to me and asking me, hey, how much do you think is in there? And I'm like, dude, I can't help you because if I help you, I have to help you.
Right. Do they do like the Easter egg hunts and stuff?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you get to hide eggs and all
Mhm.
that for them.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
Mm-hmm.
That's adorable. I remember when I was a kid, growing up, I grew up like right in between Terrell and Quinlan. So
Mhm.
I was out in the country. We had like
Mhm.
10 acres of land. We did not hide eggs throughout the entire 10 acres,
No.
thank gods.
Mhm.
But we had this really big yard. And not only would we do the regular chicken eggs, we also raised emu birds. And so we would do emu eggs too.
Oh,
And
that's
those are
cool.
like bonus ones. Those my grandparents hid money in them. So they would drill a little hole, drain it, wash it, and then like roll up money and hide the money in them.
That is so cool.
And now those were hard to find. Like they make sure to really hide those because they're really big, but they're this beautiful emerald green color.
Okay.
And it's right about that time where the foliage is that color too. So they're like hiding it in the tree and all
Everything's
this
trying
stuff.
to, everything kind of blends in.
Oh, I always found them though. I always found them. I got a good eye for things that are out of place, mostly because I spent dang near every day outside, and so I knew if something was off. And I also helped my grandfather with the emu birds, so it's like I immediately trained my eye to know
knew what
there's
that
one,
was.
there's one, there's one. I also trained my eye to know that that one is not that color anymore. That's rotten. And one thing we would do with the rotten eggs, not for Easter, but one thing we would do for the rotten eggs is kind of shitty. I would collect them, and I would invite my best friend over, Destiny, and we would have a fight and we would separate the eggs even, and we would go out into the woods and we would try to like get each other with them. It was so disgusting.
That is some backwoods Quinlan.
It really
stuff
no.
I've
It is.
ever
What
heard.
else am I gonna do? What else am I? I'm freaking 12, 13 years old. I don't got a lot of friends because I'm a weirdo. I got her, and she's down to like have an egg fight in the middle of the woods. Yes.
Yep. Just a couple weirdos hanging out together,
I
dude.
totally
having
went-
egg fights in the woods.
Exactly. I totally went all Rambo because the grass would be up to your hip, and so I would be like army crawling in the grass with my backpack full of nasty rotten eggs. But unfortunately, I don't celebrate that anymore.
Yeah.
But
Does your family still do like a get together or no?
no, we have a very small family. Well, in a sense, I have a big family, but also a small family. The
Okay.
reason it's a big family is because my father was actually adopted. So
Oh,
the
wow,
grandparents
okay.
that raised me aren't my blood relatives.
Okay.
And so we don't know anything about that side of the family. We do know that his mother had 8 additional children. And I've only met one aunt, and another aunt tried to contact me like when I was 24, and I'm like, I don't know you.
Yeah.
So I
no,
wouldn't-
I'm good.
And I ignore it. So we do have an unknown big family, but as far as anything celebratory, it would literally just be parents, me, grandparents, that's it.
Yeah.
And we used to cook, they used to cook, and like we would have a traditional like nice little lunch, well, big lunch, I should say. And that'd be about it, and then go hunt out the eggs. But again, like I don't really do that anymore. I celebrate it the other ways, cuz growing up I found you know how I didn't ruin Christmas, okay, but I educated you on some Christmas stuff. So I got to educate you on the Easter stuff.
I'm here
okay?
for it.
So instead of celebrating Easter, I celebrate the spring equinox, which already passed, and it's otherwise known as Ostara. Now, Ostara, she is the pagan goddess. She's a German goddess, and she's the goddess of spring, renewal, rebirth, fertility, all the new things to come, because it's that transition from winter to spring. It's that important time where farmers can now sow their seeds into the ground.
Yeah.
So it's really big on fertility. And she's also known in the Germanic language, she's also pronounced as Jouster, which has similar spelling to Easter. It's spelled Eostre.
Okay.
And so that's kind of where they get Easter. But anyway, so she's associated with fertility, renewal, birth, and it makes you think like, okay, well, the ultimate question, how the hell do you associate rabbits with eggs? It's her story.
Okay.
So during the winter months, she came across a bird that was really injured and sick. She healed it, and in doing so, it transformed into a rabbit that was still able to lay eggs, and thus brought in the spring. And so that's where that came from, if you ever wondered about the connection between rabbits and eggs. But that's an interesting little fun story, but don't really do anything crazy. You just kind of take a walk in the woods, think about what you're thankful for, think about new things to come for the year.
Yeah.
Don't throw rotten emu eggs.
Yeah.
I miss that though.
We're past the emu days.
Dang. I miss that though. Anyway, back to the Easter here for TSW. There's going to be a bunch of stars at that hunting trunk. You're going to have Soda Pop Hendrix. You're going to have Christy Janes, the voice of TSW, Aaron Presley. And, of course, we're going to be there, too. So we'll be there from 6 to 8. I believe you're actually having a match, too.
Yes, I am. Yeah. So it's going to be myself and Damage, NWA's Damage.
That's right.
Yep. So I know. And I'm like, man, I got to wrestle him on a Wednesday. And then still, normally we at least have, 5 or 6 days to recover before our next match. I have 3.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a brutal week next week. But honestly, like I love this stuff. Like it's so exciting. Like it can be a little overwhelming at times looking at how full that schedule is. But
it's also a blessing to think,
is.
dang, like I can actually do this. It sucks, but I can't remember the last time I had a back-to-back. It had to have been a long time, honestly. But that's why you just tell a good story, brother.
Yeah, and exactly. And like I love weekday bookings. I mean, the last one I did was actually King of Sports. It was I was around this time. want to say it was around this time last year, maybe last March or so.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, anytime I get an opportunity to do a weekday booking, I'm like, absolutely, dude. You mean to tell me I could take off work and go do this? Like, yes,
Right.
absolutely.
And then you have a weekend free if you're not booked on a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love Friday shows because then Saturday comes around and if you're not booked and you're like, oh, I have a whole weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. I just don't have Sunday to do my laundry and all that stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I
Yeah.
stay in bed all day
And then we end up not
to
doing
recover.
anything.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
my neck.
Mm-hmm.
So the Trunken Hunt, that'll be, I don't know how to pronounce this park. Audubon?
I think you're on. I think you're. Yeah. I think
Audubon?
Yeah.
It's off Oates Road in Garland, Texas, but it sounds like Audubon.
Audubon.
Really, like I want to
Mhm.
say Audubon so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like my little ADHD brain got me thinking of the Audubon.
Uh-huh.
And so I was actually curious, is that something you've ever wanted to go do?
Oh, absolutely, dude. I'm such an adrenaline junkie. Like, I think that would be so much fun. Like, absolutely.
Like dang near every guy I've ever met, anytime
Of
the
course.
Audubon comes up, they're like, "Oh yes, I want to go on the Audubon." I'm just like, bro, like there are other places you can speed, but and so like I kind of looked it up. I'm like, why is this so special? And then I learned that for those who don't know, the Autobahn, it's like this really big, intricate stretch of road. It's super well maintained. It connects Germany to like a bunch of major cities in Germany, and so the longest stretch is, God, it was either 90 kilometers or 900 kilometers. I don't know. But like, it's just this long stretch of beautifully maintained road, of course, with no speed limit.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes you wonder, like, how many accidents are on this? Not nearly as much as you get on freaking Highway 80.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and it's all the stop and go that causes accidents. I mean, for the
Yeah.
for the most part, unless you have someone doing something stupid, like I see on 635 all the time. Like, I mean, unless you have someone weaving in and out of traffic, for the most part, it's the sudden stops that always cause everything. So, I mean, I'm sure they've probably had some pretty gnarly ones, but for the most part,
Yeah.
everybody's just cruising, everybody's rolling, and it doesn't mean everybody's going wide open, but I absolutely
you'll get that person every now and then. Okay, so what car would it be?
Ooh, man. I think if I had to choose any of them, dude, I'm such a I'm not a big foreign car fan. So like Ferrari, Lamborghini, like dude, they're cool. Don't get me wrong, they're super cool. But like if you gave me a C7 Corvette and just said let her eat, that's absolutely that's what I would do.
All right, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice, very nice. I don't care about cars that much. I blame my first marketing job ever. I used to do social media marketing from 16 until the year 2020. I can't do that math right now. But I worked for this company for a very long time, and I first started off as a auto show model.
Oh, okay.
And so at the Dallas Auto Show would come around for
Would you do like the Autorama and those types of shows, or
just the DFW and the Fort Worth Auto Show. Just
gotcha, just okay.
And so, and those are 4 or 5 days. And so I was a model from age 16, 17, 18. And then this media group came in and they're like, oh, you can talk too. Cool. Do you want to handle our social media pages? I'm like, all right, sure, whatever. And so I did that so when I was 18, I did that and managed that. And they liked it so much, they offered me a part-time job. And I'm like, cool. And so every year I would go and I would then be their spokesperson. Like, you can honestly probably you can look up like videos of me doing interviews from freaking basketball players from the Mavs. I talked to JJ Barrera.
Oh, no way. Yeah.
The Ford versus Ferrari when that was hot. I want to say the grandson, whomever is the descendant of Ford, he was there with the car.
Oh, wow.
And of course it was blocked off. No one could get in it, but I could get in it.
Oh, yeah.
Not in the car, but I was like right next to it. And I was sitting next to this dude and we're just talking and shooting the breeze. I'm talking to him and stuff. And so I met a lot of cool people. It was a good learning experience. And then after I stopped doing that because COVID, of course they stopped doing it. And so that's when I transitioned to full-time just media marketing. And so I managed the media platforms for 7 dealerships across the U.S. A good majority of them were in Louisiana.
Okay.
And Arkansas?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I swear, I get PTSD anytime I see like San Marcos Honda, like on the back of a freaking Honda. I'm just like, ugh. Oh God.
Was it a lot to keep up with having so many dealerships? I mean, how many times would you have to post a week for one of those pages?
5.
So 5 times a week.
5 times a week
Uh-huh.
for every page.
So
Not on top of that, I would have to write blogs,
mm-hmm.
maybe 2-3 blogs a month about just car comparisons or what's hot. And so that job burnt me out on cars.
So I mean, you're at least doing 35 posts a week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's nuts.
It is. And then I'm also responding to bad reviews.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making it known to that. I'm doing the billboards, the digital billboards, and it was an abuse of power from that boss. Oh my God. Because then, like, when he transitioned from working in office, because he was stationed down in Houston.
Okay.
And so transitioning from the Houston office to work from home, he also cut a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I ended up with that many dealerships. Normally a person would only like manage maybe 4, or they definitely wouldn't be doing social media blogs, responding ads and all that stuff. But of course, they're like, oh, you're good at this. Take this on for no extra pay.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at how much I made, and he made it seem like that was God's gift to my salary, when I see how much I made versus how much I make now at my current marketing job, bro, I want to slap him in the face.
Mm-hmm.
It was so funny when I quit. I did not give a 2 weeks notice. I gave a 1 week notice. And
But at least you gave a notice, dude.
I did, but it left him high and dry because I want to say at that time there was only 5 people total, including him, left, and the accountant.
Yeah.
So I left because I finally got this job at AMN Healthcare, which I work for now.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And when I quit, that was the most beautiful email I ever sent. He called me. It was right. I remember distinctly.
Mm-hmm.
It was soon after my knee surgery. I just got into PT. I was on my little bike in my apartment. I get that phone call from him, and I'm like, should probably voice record this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I record it, and he's going into me. He is going in. He has little man syndrome, I swear.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going in on me, being like, how could you do this? This is so unprofessional. If I would never do this unless I was making 3 times at this new job. And I cut him off. I was like, I am now.
Yeah.
And I hung up on him.
Yeah.
Like, I am.
Yeah.
What could you mean? Call me one more time and I'll quit today. Oh God, that was terrible. Ugh.
But I mean, I imagine you got a lot of experience from.
So much.
Yeah. I mean, and you can never buy experience, but I mean, I imagine being kind of thrown into the wolves in that situation.
It taught me how to manage my time better. So that way, when I went to AMN Healthcare, that was when a lot of people started working from home, and it takes a good couple years to get acclimated to that. I already had years acclimated to that, so I could actually get the work done.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, speaking of Germany, the Autobahn, just the UK in general is just amazing. Like, I haven't been to Germany yet.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'm going to. I gotta go. Be like, Hilda, barmaid, bring me my beer. Bring me my beer. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. But I've even if I go there and then eventually go to Italy, I know that Scotland's always gonna have my heart.
Yeah.
Because I'm going back there in July.
Okay.
This time, instead of staying in Edinburgh, Ryan and I are going to Glasgow. And so we're going to stay there, which is much higher up into the Highlands. And that's actually the area where my grandfather's ancestors are from.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay,
that'll be
cool.
interesting to go into. I have, for that side of the family, I have Scottish heritage. And then my mother's side of the family, it's Czech and Moravian.
Oh, okay.
And so it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Mix. And their anger issues. And so we're going to get to go there. And we're also going to get to wrestle, of course. Shout out to Contract Pro Wrestling. Lindsay, you're beautiful. I love you. And so July 5th, I really wish it was July 4th.
Oh my God.
That'd be so. So July 5th is the day of the show. So we're going to get in on the 3rd, get acclimated on the 4th, and then the 5th we have the show. And then we're going to stay the week. So,
nice.
And her shows are actually more towards London. So it's in Newcastle upon Tyne. And so we'll be there for that weekend. And then we're going to get back on the train and go back up to Glasgow. And we're going to stay there for a week. And I can't wait because I'm going to see the Highlands. and I'm gonna pet a damn Highland cow if it kills me.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta take a picture because, like, my work friend Rosalind, she sent me a picture of a Highland cow and be like, "You have to meet this cow next time you go to Scotland because you're twinsies." And I'm like, you know what? You're right. They got really orange hair. I've got to take a picture, and they're so cute.
They are cute as
They're
hell,
so
dude.
cute looking.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm excited to wrestle there again.
That's what I was going to ask. How many times have you wrestled over there?
It would have been 3 this go around, but last year, literally 2 days before I left, I ruptured my elbow, and so obviously I still went. Still went. I did the seminar because they wanted me to do a seminar as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was very difficult doing a seminar with one arm,
Yeah, I imagine so.
but I did it.
So were you leading the seminar, or okay?
Yeah, it was all me.
Okay.
I did have Jay Strong help me, Mr. Wobble, and Ryan helped me as well doing the physicality stuff, and so we did all that, and they liked it. I was like, okay, cool, because I do like teaching that stuff. But I am excited to wrestle. I got to introduce Crazy Carter, little lady of lunacy. I got to introduce them. They were so confused. They're like, they were so disturbed. The fact that I can disturb people with my aura is beautiful, and it's really humbling because for a while I was like, I don't know, am I losing my edge, or are people just kind of getting used to me? And then this past Monday at practice, we had a guest come in, and he's a current writer. I'm trying not to give out too much information because I don't know how much information I can give off. But he's a current writer for a nationally televised wrestling promotion right now.
Okay.
And we mostly talked about character work and promo work. And so it was like, nice.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. And so we talked about that. And then Palmer was like, hey, you guys should cut a promo because who better to critique your promos and give you advice?
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay. And so 10 of us get up there. We cut a little promo, and he liked mine the most. He said that I had a presence that really drew him in, and I'm just like, yes, I still got it. But I feel like that's just because I haven't wrestled in a while. But it's nice getting that validation every now and then, especially from someone like that.
Yeah.
But like, I also hate it because at the end of the night, I asked him offside. I was like, okay, so do you have any critiques? And he's like, no. And I'm just like, okay, yay, but also boo.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
I mean, I feel that same way too. Like even with a match, right? Like I'm real selective with who I ask about, critiques, or who I ask about to watch my matches, and it's almost like a little disheartening when they're like, oh, nothing, that was great.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, there has to be something. Like, you didn't watch that whole entire thing. And maybe they didn't. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too hard on myself. But, like, I want to get, not necessarily that negative feedback, but I want to get
constructive criticism.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how are we supposed to get any better?
I feel like that's where it's important to be humble and watch your own footage.
Yeah.
But also, like you said, it's nice to have people from provide a different perspective because they might see something that you didn't. And I'm very thankful that Ryan is brutally honest with me about my stuff. And like, I'm never gonna get upset or mad at him about it because I need that, and I'm very thankful he's actually honest about that because that was one thing. That was the number one thing that hindered me for so many dang years. Even though I've only been in this 6 years, I swear to God, for the first 4, I was hindered because all I would get was, oh no, that was good.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was good.
Oh no, you're great. Yeah.
Oh, that was great. And I'm just like, you're lying. You're liar.
Yeah. Yeah. Until you have like a veteran that you trust, or someone like Ryan, and until you have someone just be brutally honest with you. Like, mine was, a gentleman, Cassidy Riley. And he was a TNA original with the Hot Shots. Him and Chase Stevens tagged, and towards the end of his career, him and I tagged together. And he's the one that actually got me connected with Ken Doan. Do you remember Kenny from Spirit Squad?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the one that got me connected with Ken, who was in charge of Extra Talent at the time with WWE. So he's the one that hooked all that up for me, and I had that match with Braun Strowman and everything. But I knew if I sent him one of my matches, I would get a big long paragraph.
Very nice.
And it wasn't just, yeah, man, that was great. Like he would dissect everything, and he would even tell me, this is nitpicky, but if you want,
No,
you
gimme,
know,
gimme.
yeah, exactly. He's like, this is just little nitpicky stuff. I'm like, no, dude, be nitpicky, because if I'm trying to get signed and have a job one day while they're watching me, they're going to be extremely nitpicky.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's been there. He's done everything. He was signed with OVW back in the day, like when Orton and all them were there. And so, he's been around everyone and, got to do some stuff on the main roster. So, if anybody's going to be nitpicky, please be nitpicky.
No, for real.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need that. And I understand from the critiques perspective, because I have people asking me all the time to critique their matches, and I always tell them, like, look, if we're on the same show, odds of me watching your match, if it's before mine, it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Afterwards, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you got to tell me. And I have maybe 5 consistent ones that'll still ask me. They'll send me their matches to this day and be like, hey, can you look at this?
Yeah.
Because they know I will send a paragraph.
Yep.
And we had this one student, Nevo, and he had to go back home about 6 months ago. He had to go back home for 6 months in Israel. I believe it was Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And he would send me practice matches. And I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, okay. This, da, 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 da. And this last one he sent me, it was like, I told him straight up, I'm like, look, Nevo, I love you, dog, but this was your worst match to date. What the hell?
Yeah.
And then he came back to the States because he was able to now, and I swear he regressed. And I'm like, this is what happens when people are not honest about your performance. You regress, and you do not want to do that in wrestling. You want to go forward. But it comes to the territory. You got to find those few people that'll be honest with you. And then,
did
of course,
he have anyone like to consistently work with over there?
Yeah, he went to a school.
Okay.
He worked at a school. Any of the matches he sent me, they were from practice matches, and so it would be the people of that school. So I want to say it was maybe like 2 or 3 different people each time.
Okay.
Kind of consistent, kind of not.
Mm-hmm.
But and then of course you got those people that want critiques, and then you give it to them, and then they're like, well, well, wasn't this good? And I'm like, if I didn't mention it, then it was decent.
Mm-hmm. Or I always hate to, like when someone does ask you to critique, and I'll be giving that critique, and they'll cut me off and be like, oh, well, I did that because of this. And I'm like, dude, I don't.
That is so annoying.
Like,
oh
dude,
my God.
I don't really give a shit why you did it. I'm just telling you why you shouldn't have.
Like, I never cut someone off if I'm asking for their feedback. Now, if there are certain specific things that I was working on that they didn't mention, I would say, oh, by the way, how did this look? Because I've been working on it.
Yeah. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have that, but then you have people like, well, what about this? Because they want that compliment. It's like what we talked about before. You got to have thick skin. Like, stop fishing for compliments.
Yeah. And another one is the guy who trained me, Brett. We would work out at the gym together too as well. And then, he would help me in the wrestling training. And I'll never forget, it was my first booking outside of CWF. And we're in the gym, and he was like, how are you looking? You looking pretty good? And I was like, yeah, I feel like I look pretty good. And he was like, lift your shirt up. Lifted my shirt up. Yeah. He said, all right, no more carbs this week. And
but thank you.
Yeah. But I was, okay. Yeah.
Cool.
And like, we tell some people that, right? Like I tell Savannah some of these stories, and she's like, oh my God, like, you let them talk to you like that. And I'm like, yeah, because I want to get better. Like to the outside world, like, I don't know, some of the verbal abuse that we take in training, or, even from some of these people. Like,
right.
I mean, there's a fine line. Yeah, it is. But, there's a fine line between professional and unprofessional. But, like, to me, I would rather him tell me, because he told me, he was like, no more carbs and get in the tanning bed.
Well, and I'm pretty sure, like, you and I'm pretty sure we had the same coaching experience. Like, you had the football, I had tennis and soccer, and we had angry coach. Like, they would yell. And if they didn't talk to you or coach you or yell at you, that meant that they didn't care.
Exactly.
And so I'm used to that. And so that's my teaching style now. And that definitely weeds out a lot of people.
Yeah. It does.
But it didn't weed out these last 4. I had my second graduating class over the weekend, and was it over the weekend? Yeah, it was over this past weekend. And so they had the little ceremony. They passed their test, which was gruesome. Oh my God.
What is it? Do you remember it all?
Oh yeah, I was there. I drove out to Paris, and I was was running the test. So we had them. Honestly, it wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been. I was going to be a lot meaner. But Dante Smiley started them off with a bunch of physicality. They had to run a certain amount of laps around the building, and then they had to do 100 squats, 100 push-ups. That's it.
Okay.
I would have had a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because I am masochist. I am evil. So after that, I'm like, okay, I still got to put these guys through the ringer. And so I had them hitting the ropes. And it was me and Jeremy. He's my assistant coach, Daystar. And so we would take turns calling things out, whether it be a move or terminology.
Mm-hmm.
What does the booker do?
Mm-hmm.
Give me a back bump.
Mm-hmm.
What is a shine?
Oh, okay.
Face bump.
Yeah.
Like we would go back and forth on that.
Yeah.
And about 3 solid minutes of them just constantly doing that and having to talk and do that. And then the final thing was cut me a promo while you're running, go. They did okay.
Uh-huh. Like while running the ropes, they had to cut it. Oh, that's tough.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially after, like, you're already winded.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did that. They did okay with that. And then the final thing I had them do is I just had them do, like, a 5-minute match, a 6-minute match where it was nothing but chain. And then they had to do an 8-minute match of calling it in the ring. And then they had to do a 10-minute match of, they could go and build it. Now, I didn't do it in that exact order. I did the chain and then the 10-minute and then the 8-minute. What I didn't tell them, though, is that they only had 15 minutes to come up with that match when they talked about in the back. And as soon as they came out, I'm like, I switched their partners and I said, all right, call it in the ring.
Yep. That's awesome.
They hated me so much for that, but they did fine.
Yeah, exactly.
They did fine. Like, obviously they messed up, but the whole point of that, the test for that day, is to see who gives up and who doesn't.
Yeah.
And it was really gruesome for a couple of them, but they didn't give up.
Good.
And so, yay for them.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of veering left a little bit, I posted online today, like, hey, we're doing the episode. Give me your questions.
Mm-hmm.
Got some more responses. One of them was asking when the Dark Trinity is going to come back to Texarkana, so I'll answer that. We will be there May 30th through June 1st. They're having that little celebration, so that's the weekend we will be back there. But the second question was from this guy, Joel Harvey 262, and his question was, talk about the problems of modern wrestling and how we fix it. And that's a very heavy topic.
Yeah, and it's a very broad topic.
It is, and
too.
I feel like we can really dig deep into that. So we're going to save that for part 2.
Okay.
Because we're actually almost done with this. Because we
really are, aren't we?
Yeah. And so we'll save that for part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't just want to glaze over that topic. That's a really hard-hitting, really good one. That's a good brain scratcher, thought-provoking. So Mr. Joel Harvey 262, we will address that in part 2 of today. You'll see that episode next week. Sorry, but to wrap this up today, at least, I want to give some more love to King of Sports. I told you I was there for the past 2 shows they had, and oh my gosh, like, it is a new promotion to me, and I'm already obsessed. It's so different from other promotions because they honor and respect and they push out that old school wrestling. And I love old school wrestling. Like, you protect kayfabe until you leave. Like, that's what I love so much.
Separate locker rooms.
Even when I was tearing down the ring, this dude came up to me and was like, oh, good stuff. And I'm like,
as you should, yeah.
And I did. He was like, okay. And I did it right in front of the owners and stuff, and they were just like,
yeah.
They just started laughing.
I was at EPW, a couple weeks ago, and so I was a heel there, and I've turned face, which, if you're not a wrestling fan, I was a bad guy, now I'm a good guy. So it was my first match as a face, and afterwards I had an 11-year-old kid come up to me and say, I think I liked you better as a heel, but you're a pretty good face. And I just looked at him, I gave him the most puzzled look, and I was like, heel face?
Right.
And he was like, now you're a baby face. And I was like, I don't have a baby face. Like, I just completely, I no-sold everything.
Absolutely.
I was like, and I was like, heel. I was like, yeah, I have 2 of them on the back of my.
Right. What are you talking about?
Dude, what are you talking about? Yeah. And it's like, oh, dude, like, I don't know. Like, it takes away a little bit of the magic, but I don't want to get too far into that because that ties into next week.
Right. But no, but like, I really like what they're doing over there.
Oh, King of Sports.
Carrie and
awesome.
Kiefer.
Yep.
Kiefer. Yeah.
Yes.
Gary and Kiefer, they're like, I really like what they got going on over there. I haven't had a match there yet, but they introduced me to their crowd, to their audience, basically, because they put their stuff on YouTube as well. So they introduced me to the audience for the past 2 shows, and same compliment as what I got this past Monday. You have a presence about you. I really like this.
Mm-hmm.
And no one has seen me wrestle there yet. And so the fact that they like what I do and how much I put into it, it's like, wait until you see me work, brother.
Mm-hmm.
And so actually, I did get to hit a move on their champion, though. I got to do my flying elbow.
Was it on a Gunner?
Mm-mm.
Or who's the champ now? Is it Nobi?
Yep. No.
Okay.
Yep. I got to hit him with a big old move. My little slingshot in, flying back elbow. I got to hit him.
Do you
with
do
that.
like the Adam Page, like the what does he call it? Like the buckshot, like how you flip over the top rope? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't flip.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't flip. I just do that traditional, like, how to jump into the ring
Hop
type
over.
thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I just do that, and then
Yeah.
pray to your God. But did that, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens at UNT Dallas whenever I go. I'm really hoping I get to work because again, I'm itching to work. That's what I want. I just want to work. I just want to wrestle, and I want to make people hate me, and that's another reason why I'm excited, because I'm finally able to be a heel again.
Yeah.
Since coming back, I've only been a face. I'm a heel here at TSW, but I get to be a bad guy at King of Sports, and I love it so much. Oh my God, I love it.
And as much as I enjoy being a babyface, like I really do, like I enjoy it, and like I feel like once you nail, or nobody nails it, but once you figure out how to do it well, like getting that big babyface pop right as you're hitting your comeback, oh dude, there's nothing quite like it. And then when you can control them, when I want the crowd to go up, okay, let's bring them up and let's yank the rug out, right? Like when you learn that, because it's hard, especially when you first start, like it's hard getting the crowd to get behind you, but it's so much easier to get them to hate you. So naturally, so many people want to be a heel right off the jump.
I literally said 2 words on the mic, and this entire gymnasium was booing me, and I just go,
love it. Yeah.
Yes. Oh God, it was beautiful. But so, like I said, my mind wanders a lot. So I make a lot of intricate connections. So I'm thinking about this old school wrestling, and then I'm comparing it to how the skills evolved over time. And then I think about how the wrestlers have evolved physically, and which ultimately leads me to this topic that I want to hit on. And I'm surprised we haven't talked about it before, but it's tattoos.
Okay.
And that's where we'll pick up on part 2. On part 2 of this episode of After the 3 Count, which again we will put out next week. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Be sure to give us a like, give us a follow on our YouTube and Instagrams. The tags will be in the description box below, and we will see you next time.
Peace.
Bye.